What if Doctor Who hadn't been axed in 1989? That is something many have tried to guess at, and now it's my turn. I've been going through this concept at the rate of one season per episode, but now, 2007, BBC Films and Paramount Pictures would have released the second film in the Doctor Who film franchise, Doctor Who Revelation. Doctor Who Revelation would have been the second Doctor Who feature film, following the first one in 2003 and 3 series of the television show since in 2004, 2005 and 2006, leading to this film being released in February 2007. The film would have been the last outing for producer Tony Redston and the Doctor Anthony Head, after both doing 3 series of the television show. This film would wrap up the Gallifrey arc that had been a part of the series since the first film. The main cast would also be the main cast of the television series: the Doctor, the Rogue, the Rani, Leela, Franks, K9 and the Master. The Master would serve as a primary antagonist for this film. Also, many of the outsiders and general Time Lords from the television show would return, as well as members of the Sister Khan and the infamous Fen Denau. Doctor Who Revelation would have a relatively low budget for a science fiction film of this magnitude, of just $60 million. To put that into comparison, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, released the same year, had a budget of $150 million. Spider-Man 3, released the same year, had a budget of $258 million. And the B movie, also released in the same year, had a budget of $150 million. Now, the reasons for this film low budget would have been due to the dwindle of Doctor Who in the last few years as far as the critical and audience reception was concerned, and the change in opinion many had about the movie in the 4 years since the hype had died down and people looked more into its flaws. So, Doctor Who Revelation would have reused lots of sets from the television series, which were in fact created for the first movie. It would have had limited special effects on the films, but the effects it did have would have been used really well because it would have taken up a lot of the budget, and it would have been filmed on a really tight schedule. This was very much the reason why Graham Harper was chosen as director, as he was one of the most cinematic directors for the television series and therefore could control the production under the same schedules and restraint of the series and make it look really, really good. Most of the budget would have been spent on the visual effects, which would have involved some quite complex shots. The score to this movie would have been provided by John Debney, who would have composed the music between season 35 and 37, as well as Rebels era, and most recently, season 43. It would feature a new theme tune arrangement for this film's opening, but the closing credits would feature the same theme tune arrangement by Murray Gold for the first film. Like the first film, a full OST soundtrack will be available soon. The film's opening titles would again be a title card like the previous film, and be quite similar in structure. We start off with the Paramount and BBC Film logos, before going to the credits of Paramount Pictures and BBC Films Present, a Tony Redston production, and a Graham Harper film, before then going to the logo, appearing first with the word Revelation and then Doctor Who as Gallifrey draws closer behind them. Then the camera pulls back and it's revealed we are seeing this from a spaceship which is on its way to Gallifrey, and we hear the sound of the Masters laughing. This film would have opened on a spaceship flying towards Gallifrey. The first shot would have been the hangar doors closing on Gallifrey. Then there would have been a hard cut to the bridge. The Master would be sat in the middle on the captain's chair, laughing as he sees Gallifrey and the monitor in front of him. The Master then would have got out of his chair and walked down the corridor. He would go into a dark room and start chuckling to himself. Then inside the room we would see the Sister Khan chanted repeatedly. Hard cut to the establishing shot of Gallifrey, which we would have come used to now in the past few years, used from the movie. We see the Doctor in his office, sat at his desk, like the ending of the last series. He's staring at the TARDIS in the corner. The door opens and in walks a rogue. He tells the Doctor they've had reports of some time disruptions and they should really go to the bunker as a safety measure. They go down to the bunker where thousands upon thousands of people are. The Doctor, the Rogue, the Rani and Leela make their way to the presidential suite inside the bunker. Once in there, the Doctor collapses. The others look around, trying to help, but before long, each and every one of them collapses. We zoom in on the Doctor's face, and the time vortex is overlaid as we hear the Masters laughing. We fade in on the Doctor in a dark warehouse. He looks around. Everything is desaturated. The Doctor looks around and sees a row of broken TARDISes. He walks out of the warehouse and into a lift. Inside the lift there's a monitor, and the Doctor looks towards it. A man is on the monitor addressing everyone, and his caption reads, Lord President Slan. The Doctor looks horrified and realises when he is. He's on Gallifrey, the day he left. The camera zooms in on the Doctor's face and a time vortex fades over it before fading on the Rani, sat behind a desk in her classroom. She looks around confused. A class of pupils enter and the Rani looks at them distastefully. We then fade back into the time vortex and arrive on the Rogue. The Rogue looks up and sees that he's in the presidential office. He looks around the desk to find a newspaper. The headline, HT-1408 destroyed. He's in the past, the day of the evacuation of the capital during the 2 years the Doctor was in the Matrix. The Rogue looks through his window as he sees the people's fleeing. He walks up to the comm panel and tries to contact someone, but he cannot. He leaves the office and walks through the corridor, and everyone he approaches ignores him like he wasn't there. We then fade on the vortex again and we cut to Leela, who is on Earth, in a farm. She looks out and she sees lots of humans farming. She approaches them and tries to speak to them but fails. She picks up a newspaper from the ground which tells her that she's in Hull, 1923. We then for the next 20 minutes intercut between the Doctor, the Rogue, the Rani and Leela as they explore the places they're in. They all realise they cannot communicate with the people around them and attempts to work out what's going on. They all find cracks in reality and realise that they're in some sort of simulation. At the moment of working out, they're released and they wake up aboard the Master ship surrounded by the Sisterhood of Khan. The Doctor asks what they are doing. They tell him their Lord the Master requires their mental energy, and the simulations, created through a hijacked version of the Matrix, were just to sedate them. Rogue is about to strike Gahelia, the leader of the Sisterhood, when the Master enters. He continues laughing as he sees the Rogue. The Master tells him that he wished he could have had them in there longer, but he got what he wanted. The Master then takes the Doctor off in a room at the side and tells him that he wants the sash of Rassilon, and if he doesn't get it, one of his friends will die for good. The Master then sends the Doctor back to Gallifrey to get the sash. The Master walks back to the main chamber and walks past each one of them, one at a time. The Rogue nods at Leela and Rani, and they attempt to break free. They have a hand-to-hand fight with the Sister of the Khan, and the Master just stands there laughing. When they finally defeat the Sisterhood and they're all unconscious, the Master presses a button and they are trapped in a force field. The Master just laughs again, as he knows they cannot escape. We cut to the capital, and the Doctor walks into the Panopticon. He opens a secret trap in the middle of the floor and walks into the archive. It's huge and goes on as far as the eye can see. We cut back to the Master, and he has separated each one of the mouth into separate force fields. The Master then opens up a box and pulls out a creature. He says it's a poplin pet, which can transfer the thoughts out of any person. While he can do the same with technology, he would much prefer it to do this way. He laughs and says, "It's more painful." The rogue looks back at him horrified. Back in the archive, the Doctor finally finds the Sasha Rassilon and takes it. He collects his time ring and vanishes. The Doctor appears again inside a Gallifreyan ship. He kisses the time ring and walks up to the helm. He sits down and moves the ship. He hails the Master and tells him that he can have the sash if he teleports the Rogue, the Rani and Leela over. In return, he will teleport over the sash. He says that if they both do it at the same time, there shouldn't be a problem. The Master agrees, and they both teleport them over at the same time. The Rogue, the Rani and Leela arrive on the ship, but the sash doesn't arrive. The Master is furious, and the Doctor simply explains that he made sure the sash went somewhere else, which is even safer than the Panopticon archives. The Master open fires on the Doctor's ship and tells him he won't stop until he has a sash. The Doctor tells everyone to get to battle positions, and they fire back. We then have about a 15-minute space battle of wits between the Doctor and the Master, before the Master's ship is blown up. The Master manages, with two of the Sisters of the Khan, to teleport off, before it blew up, onto the planet Khan. The Doctor returns to Gallifrey. On Gallifrey, the Doctor tells the Rogue to find Fender now. The Rogue looks at him and asks if he's truly certain. The Doctor says we need his help more than ever, and the Master will be coming back. The Rogue takes the ship and arrives on a distant colony world. The Rogue walks through the mountains and sees a base. He walks towards it and sees the Daleks in the mist. He gulps and continues walking. A Dalek sees him and shoots its weapon. The Rogue dodges back but continues walking. He states, "I am here under the order of the Lord President of Gallifrey in search of one Fendenau." The Dalek stops shooting and Fendenau walks towards him. Fendenau asks what the Doctor wants with him, and the Rogue answers simply, "The Master." Back in Khan, the Master is sat in a cave with Ahelia and Haspera. The Master speaks about what they must do to take the Seal of Rassilon so they can take back the eye and open a door into all realities. The Master once again begins laughing, but is stopped by an attack by Ahelia and Haspera. They state that's what he gets for causing the deaths of the whole of the Sister of the Khan on that ship. Ahelia and Haspera make their way to Gallifrey. The Rogue, Fendenau, Haspera and Ahelia arrive in Gallifrey at the same time and make their ways to the Doctor's office. However, they are stopped in their tracks by multiple inconveniences caused by ordinary citizens at Gallifrey. After a lot of pushing, getting through busy streets and corridors, they make it to the top of the Citadel and to the Doctor's office. Fendenau explains that the Master has to be stopped and is completely twisted, and while they may not agree on everything, they must unite to stop the Master. The Sisterhood explain their allegiance and that they agree and must stop the Master. However, at that moment a message is received from Presta of the Outsiders, who tells the Doctor that everything is under control but the Master is holding them hostage and wants a Sasha Rassilon. The Doctor realises the gravity of the situation and asks to speak to the Master, and the Master takes over the transmission. The Doctor and the Master agree to a mind-bending contest, and whoever wins will take the Sasha Rassilon, and the others shall be banished from Gallifrey, never to return. The Doctor and the Master meet in the Outsiders' village at midday and the contest begins. The Doctor and the Master place their heads in the mind-bending device and begin. We have a tense battle between each side, intercut with photographs of their past and their memories. We see all the past Doctors and many faces of people we don't know. We see no incarnations of the Master that we know of apart from Geoffrey Beldam. We also see small parts of the ground ripping apart as the contest goes on. Eventually the Doctor gets the upper hand, but the Master fights back. The Doctor falls back in pain. He has lost. The Master stands victorious, but Leela watches him and makes her move. She throws him back into the device and she challenges him. Leela, who isn't as tired as the Master, manages to win eventually, and the Master falls back in pain. We see the Doctor dead. Ahelia brings out a potion and feeds it to the Doctor. The Doctor's eyes open, but it's not enough. The Doctor makes an attempt to stand up and move. He walks across the village and an orange glow grows across his face. The Doctor smiles and says, "This is it." And a burst of regeneration energy falls out his face as he walks, and part by part his body morphs into another man. Finally the energy disappears and we see the face of the 12th Doctor, Patterson Joseph. The Doctor smiles and takes the sash from the outsiders and tells him to go to the Citadel, away from the Master. The Doctor runs back over to the Master and looks upon him. The Master is dying but still conscious. The Master begins to speak to the Doctor, asking if he remembers his exile to Earth. The Doctor says yes, and the Master says, "What if I were to tell you that was me?" The Doctor asks who, and the Master states, "Me. I was your judge, jury, and executioner. I exiled you to Earth." The Doctor asks why, and the Master tells him it was because he wanted the stars for himself, and he needed the Doctor out of the picture. The Doctor asks why he came back to Earth with the nesting consciousness. The Master says he hasn't even heard of the nesting consciousness, and with that the Master begins to regenerate. Slowly but surely the Master turns into that of Roger Delgado. The Doctor looks in horror and tells the Rogue to get him off-world. The Rogue sedates him and takes him away. The Doctor goes back up to the Panopticon and decides to make a speech. He says that he will be stepping down as Lord President and the Rogue shall take over as President. However, he said he will make one more change to the law. He states that he will give effective immediately outsiders equal rights to Time Lords and the right to enter the Academy if they so wish and live within the cities of Gallifrey. He also extends that so any Time Lord can live in the outsiders' village if they so wish. The Doctor then walks back into his office and looks at the TARDIS awaiting him. The Doctor takes off his Gallifreyan robes and is left in just a shirt and trousers, of course, and walks into the TARDIS. We see the new TARDIS interior for the first time and the Doctor smiles. He is home. The Doctor walks up to the console and pulls the lever and the TARDIS begins to dematerialise. We see his office as the TARDIS fades away, and then the camera pulls out of the Doctor's office window and in one shot out of the Citadel, up through the clouds until we see the planet Gallifrey. The camera spins around and we see the TARDIS. We follow the TARDIS through space as it enters the vortex. And the credits begin. So there we have it, Doctor Who Revelation, the second Doctor Who canon feature film, features the end of Anthony Head's Doctor and Geoffrey Bailey as Master, and the start of Patterson Joseph as the 12th Doctor. The Doctor is now back in the TARDIS and ready to explore the universe, the Rogue is president, and the outsiders are free. The effect of Roger Delgado's Master would have been achieved through a few ways. Firstly, actor David Paymer would have been made up to look like Roger Delgado with prosthetics and a false beard and hair. Secondly, subtle CGI would have been used to enhance the look and make him look pretty much exactly like Delgado. And for the most part, this effect worked. It helped immensely, he didn't have any lines. This film would have been a box office and critical success, making much more than the first film, even though it had half the budget. It would have been so popular it would have persuaded CBS to give season 44 a massive budget increase during its third month in production when the film was released. It would have opened at number 1, only going against films like Ghost Rider. For season 44, Paul Cornell would have stayed on as script editor, but Gary Russell would have become the new producer. May I thank C.N. Kamen for his endless help in creating the opening and closing sequences in this film. He's brilliant and has produced something far better than I. Please go and subscribe to him, he is great. Anyway, that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and next up we have Doctor Who Season 44 starring Patterson Joseph. Goodbye.